Hi guys, so I'm here to make a video about Blu-rays and empaths because there's so many crossovers. I'm going to embrace both of those traits in this video because Blu-rays are generally empaths. Yeah, to start this video I want to talk about some of the traits of both Blu-rays and empaths. Blu-rays often find it a bit more challenging to get empowered about their path, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time because of their empathic abilities, and they aren't always around people who can help them with that. In an ideal world, yes, they would be, but it is time now for Blu-rays to be more empowered, to step into their power and to use these talents, these gifts of being empaths for themselves and for people. Now, so the first key is really very sensitive to energies, finding it difficult to see whether it's yours or somebody else's, and yeah, sometimes feeling overwhelmed in a crowded place and things like that because there's just so much energy. It just becomes quite tiring, or being around people who are quite exhausting, who need a lot of amusement, a lot of entertainment, and don't seem to be able to do that for themselves. A lot of empaths find that quite exhausting because they actually take that on and try to fix that, which is not their job. It's actually their job to go, okay, that's your problem, you deal with it. And now is the time for people to empower themselves and allow themselves to do that, and to also use those gifts in a positive way. So if you need to figure out whether what you're feeling is yours or somebody else's, just breathe deep into your belly and just imagine a little clear light in there, or warmth, whatever works for you, and that is your peaceful place within yourself. And see what you feel in there. And if you feel peaceful in there, whatever you're feeling out here is not about you. It's actually stuff you're picking up from the energies. So number 2 is getting overwhelmed, sometimes just needing to bail, to shoot the gap and get the heck out of somewhere. And sometimes it's okay to do that, you know. Yeah, a lot of empaths and Blu-rays want to make everybody else happy because they feel it when they make somebody else unhappy. It's not just seeing it, they actually feel it, and that can be quite tough. So yeah, if you do get overwhelmed, it's okay to say, hey, actually I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, I need to get outside and just be by myself for a little while. You know, it's about communication. That is the most empowering thing that both Blu-rays and empaths can do for themselves, is to actually start talking about their needs and what they need to do. So number 3 is they've often had some painful experiences earlier in life where they felt misunderstood or different, and kind of step back. Rather than becoming empowered, they step back from life and might have isolated themselves a little bit, or kept some quite strong walls up to be safe. And the key, once again, to overcoming that is to empower yourself and speak out about what you need, and let go of making other people happy. That's not your job. Yes, a lot of empaths and Blu-rays are healers, but healing is about empowering other people to take care of themselves, not about doing it for them. So being able to say, hey, look, I've had enough for right now. I'm out of here. I need to go and have a bubble bath and just hang out by myself for a while is okay. So that's a very empowering step. Number 4, they've got a tendency to transmute energy, even if it's not their own, and they can often be unaware of that. They'll take on energies from around them and try to transmute them into a higher vibration, and that can be quite tiring. And I think, once again, the lesson in that is it's okay to do that sometimes and consciously, but try not to just kind of be totally unaware and have it going on all the time, because it's actually too exhausting. And self-care is really important. You don't need to do that. It's not your job. So yeah, if it feels like it's not the right time or you're depleted, it's okay not to do that, and to decide that energy is not your problem. And actually, in the bigger picture, everything has its own cycles and rhythms and reasons, and things happen for a reason. Even things that aren't so nice happen for a reason, especially with people. You know, say you have a friend who has a very destructive habit of, I don't know, going out with somebody who's quite abusive or whatever, and they keep going back to that. You can't save them from that. They need to actually hit that point where they're so fed up with it and so uncomfortable and in so much emotional pain that they can't do it anymore. And then they're ready for some support and help. So sometimes we have to let people stub their toes in order to learn, or to burn their fingers in order to learn what hot is, you know. It actually empowers them, and it shows that you believe in them. Number 5, very determined once they're on their path. Both Blu-rays and empaths, once they find their direction, their path, they can be really, really focused and very determined and don't let anything pull them off track. So once that happens, actually a lot of that outside stuff doesn't have as much effect anymore, because the focus is quite strong. So all these other things like on the side of the road aren't such a big factor anymore. So that's a really positive thing. Number 6 is empaths and Blu-rays often feel mass consciousness around them. You know, that's just the level of conscious awareness of society. And when there's a lot of stuff going on, yeah, they feel it. I remember when that whole 9/11 thing with the Twin Towers happened, I was working at the Motueka Healing Centre, and I hadn't listened to any news or anything that morning. I was just there running the office at that point at the beginning of the day, and people were just running up the stairs in tears and distraught, and yeah. And it was like this big wave of mass consciousness and grief and sadness. And it was really quite a powerful thing. It was quite amazing. So, you know, that is mass consciousness. It's like a wave of energy that goes across society. And empaths and Blu-rays have a tendency to feeling that. And it's important to learn to detach from that, or it can get very exhausting. Number 7. This is a really gritty one. Find it very hard to hurt people, because being an empath, when you hurt someone, you feel it. You feel their pain, not just your own. And quite plainly spoken, it sucks, it's horrible, but it makes it very, very hard to hurt people. But sometimes to look after yourself, you have to hurt somebody. It's just the way it is. And if you feel a bit of discomfort, try and just breathe through it and let it pass. It's not yours. Some of it's somebody else's pain. So if you've disappointed somebody by taking care of your own needs and your own self, and they don't like it, try not to attach to their pain, and try not to feel like you have to make it better. They need to make it better. So that's a hard one. It's a really hard one for a lot of empaths. Number 8, letting go of rescuing and trusting others to find their own answers and their own way. Once again, that goes back to empowering people rather than trying to do it for them. It was a huge lesson for me in working the way I do with spiritual readings and things like that. And I've also worked as a healer. You have to learn that, or you just fry yourself. You know, I have this little mental disassociation thing I do at the end of every session, where I just basically kind of give all control and power and input over that person's life back to that person. It's like, here, I've given you my input. What you do with that is up to you, but it is yours. And yeah, that helps me to mentally disassociate. And oh, look who we've got here. Mrs. Feeney wants to come and make videos too. Yeah, so that's really important. You know, we're all equal, really. So other people can find their own answers too. Miss Feeney, what are you doing? Oh dear. So yeah, it is their own growth and their own, their own lessons. You need to let people have their own lessons. So that's another big one. And number 9, and this is a real key, is to stay connected to your body. It's one thing that both empaths, Blu-rays, and a lot of spiritual people in general tend to do, and that is to kind of end up in their emotional body, or the different layers of the energy field, and to be out there rather than connected into themselves. And we are here to live in these bodies and in this reality, so it's really important to stay put, because otherwise you end up neglecting your body, and your body kicks up a stink and doesn't like it. I learned that lesson very early on. I completely burnt myself out, and it was a tough one, but it was a good lesson. So try and stay connected to your body. If you're feeling a little bit kind of overwhelmed or wishy-washy, lean against a tree, sit on the ground outside, do something that grounds you. Cooking can be really grounding and bring you back in the present moment too. Things like that. Very, very important to stay connected to this vehicle we have here on earth, so that we take good care of it, because it is the expression of who we are. So yeah, those are some keys for both Blu-rays and empaths. It's a really important time, I feel, on this planet at the moment, where people are awakening and learning and growing and becoming stronger and becoming more aware of what's going on around themselves, and being empowered and taking charge of your gifts, your talents, who you are, is a really empowering way of doing that. So anyway, lots of love everyone, and don't forget to look after yourselves.